Abstinence only is the best policy anyway.
I disagree entirely on that point. It's been shown in repeated studies that abstinence only leads to more unwanted pregnancies than any other program.
I've never heard that before, and I don't think it's true.
Don't take my word for it. Look it up. You know I wouldn't lie to you.
Well, I know you wouldn't lie to me, and I will look it up. What would you suggest to correct the problem?
Do what I did. Don't depend on schools to teach kids about sex. Teach them yourself. Bring out diagrams and condoms and the works, and kids are smarter than we give them credit for.
I can agree with teaching them ourselves, but telling them how to perform sexual acts, it's like encouraging them to do so.
No, teaching them to be responsible about sex is important. No matter what, they're eventually going to do it, and if they're not prepared, they will make mistakes. Just the simple act of teaching a young man to put on a condom will reduce the risk of pregnancy and infection by leaps and bounds.
But there's no such thing as 100% birth control. I think I should avoid it altogether if I can't be 100%.
Well, that's a great way of thinking of things. It's like saying we should never drive because seatbelts aren't 100% effective at keeping us safe.
Driving is safer than sex, and driving is something that's essential to life. Sex is not.
Did you really just say that?
Just so we're clear, we all understand that hiding your sexuality causes severe depression and anger, right? It's an obvious and rhetorical question. Lies are the most destructive thing in relationships. Denial is the most powerful type of lie. It was also my favorite kind. I remember when I learned to lie. One of the most integral parts of being a Christian is having a community to belong to. Not just words and prayers that make you feel loved, but people and places. I have the memories of every church I ever attended in my mind as a long procession of white walls, wooden pulpits, choirs, the smell of old ladies' perfume, and home-baked goods and cheap coffee after the service. Then, of course, there's Sunday school, which I loved. Everyone dressed and pressed in their Sunday best, Bible tucked under their arm, ready to serve God. I loved wearing my Sunday school clothes and combing my hair for service. I would smile at my reflection, ready for the only day of the week I looked forward to. I didn't have any friends at school. Some people were Christians just for that one day a week, others for all the time in between. The latter was my family and my life. All the time in between. The family of pastors and deacons, song and praise, prayer before bed. Love embodied in a group so close to God they could feel the Spirit, and then they would lift their hands to the sky, because that's where God lived. It was at Sunday school that I can remember, quite vividly, falling in love for the first time, with another boy my age. At the time, I hadn't known that the overwhelming majority of Christians objected to homosexuality. I didn't even know what it was. I knew I was gay, or something like that. I also knew that one of my Sunday school classmates was magnetic, gravitational, and electric, all at once. He was the son of the preacher. While all the other romances involved the boys watching the girls, I was watching him, though I really didn't understand why. I never expressed these feelings to him. I was 9. I was there for Jesus and other things. Even though some of the romances involved the girls watching me, I hadn't noticed. At this point, there was no conflict in my mind. I was clearly ready to accept my sexuality. I didn't know there was anything wrong because I hadn't been told there was. At a particular Sunday sermon, I decided for the first time to give my undivided attention to the pastor. Partly because I was expected to, but mostly because I got to sit next to the boy I liked. He was giving his undivided attention to his father, as was expected of him. I mimicked him. Most boys and girls would be whispering and passing notes and horsing around. Usually these types of actions were ignored. Kids will be kids. This was before every 9-year-old had a cell phone. So focused was I on getting him to like me that when I heard the word homosexual, I was startled. The word did not so much echo in my ears as it struck me with all the disdain, abhorrence, and disgust with which any preacher can muster it. The word sex in any sense had rarely been used in our presence, at least not during a sermon where kids were in attendance. I noticed his intonation while all the boys and girls giggled. There was a hush from the adults in the room. Everything was hushed, Apparently, this was very important. At length, he elaborated about God giving us what we wanted unless we asked him for what we needed.
If what you want is to be apart from him, he will give you what you want. If what you want is to be a drug addict, he will give you what you want. If what you want is to be a homosexual, he will give you what you want. But in the end, you'll lose. Your life will be all you get, and when it's over, it's over. Let us read from Romans chapter 1, starting with verse 26. Thank you. For this cause he gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which was against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of women, burned in their lust for one another. Men with women working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was met. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind, to do those things which are not convenient. You see, God will always give us exactly what we want. It's not him messing with your free will. It's you saying this is what I want, and him giving you what you want, out of love.
With these statements, I encountered my first of many conflicts with Christianity. I can remember feeling anxiety. My heart dropped. I felt like I was falling through the floor. I looked at the preacher's son, then back to the father. I had questions. Lots of them. I waited till the sermon had ended, and then I gently tugged at the sleeve of the pastor. He smiled down at me.
Yes, son?
What's a homosexual?
A homosexual is a man who prefers the love of another man over that of a woman. God detests this, but you don't have to worry about that.
He squeezed my shoulder gently and then walked away. I did have to worry. God had led me over to my vile passions. I like another boy. I'm a homosexual. I'm doing something wrong. I'm wrong. This was the moment I began to dislike myself. After that, I avoided the preacher's son, obsessed with the idea that there was something wrong with me. This is when I began to fear God. This is when I began to fear myself. I policed my thoughts and actions against anything gay. It's hard to describe. Imagine someone washing their hands until they bleed. Imagine someone checking the locks so many times that now they're late for work. Imagine the cleanest countertops in the world, and there's your friend in the corner with a toothbrush and a gas mask to protect himself against the caustic mixture of ammonia and bleach, because that's the best way to get the counters clean. Imagine doing that to your 9-year-old mind.